because
Recording started. Hi, hello. Here we're live. Yay.
oh, that was fast.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to be with you again. I mean, I know you don't know it in in the outside world, in the digital world when you watch our videos, but it's been a little while since my friend, my lovely cohort here, Mrs. Betty Ann Golden, and I have gotten together to have an online conversation with you all. And we're really excited to be here and to do that and to continue on with, what we've been doing, what we've been talking about. And just briefly, again, our aim here with this podcast, Your Heart of Love, is for all of us to deepen into greater love and joy and abundance. And in our previous sessions, we've been talking about a lot of things that keep us away from that, food for thought as far as what to look at. If we do want to, if this is our goal, is to be happier, be more loving, be more abundant, be more joyful, and have more fun in our lives, that sort of thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And so we've been talking about, things like, watching our judgment on things with ourselves and others. This whole big idea about, not enoughness and not thinking that we're enough, or, our lives are enough, or the component parts in our lives are enough. That kind of thing, right? That keeps us away from love and joy and that type of thing. Self-esteem, we talked a lot about too, right? How we view ourselves. Do we really like ourselves? Can we deepen in to greater liking of ourselves, acceptance of ourselves, and therefore, as a result, bring more love and joy and abundance into our lives, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's truly it's an ongoing working component of our life because we're humans and we have emotions and we have thoughts that not necessarily are ours. They've just been, we've heard them, we've experienced them, we've seen them, and they create these thoughts in our heads, and then our thoughts create the emotion that we feel about those thoughts. And that emotion is from your innermost being. And when it doesn't feel right, it's not coming, the emotion doesn't come from your heart or your soul. It's coming from your head, your mind, your ego, because that creates the fear in what you're either afraid of or thinking that's going to happen that you don't like, or what could happen if you do something that you don't want the outcome, or is this person going to like me, or all many things. And I believe that we need to work on that every day, because every day is something new that we hear outside our own personal world. And every day there's a new experience that we experience or that we see. And then we don't want to be do not be in a cubby hole where you don't experience anything, unless you're going to be a monk,
Yeah.
and that's your divine passion for. But we don't want to be hermits, because you want to be around people, because
And we're here to live life, right?
yeah, and you can choose the people you're around. And that's, I think, where people get in trouble, is they just jump into a whole bunch of people, not saying, okay, I can jump into this pool, but does it feel right? Or is this area feels more comfortable to me versus that area, because that area is colder. So I want to be more in the warmer part, or vice versa. And I think that's what we have to experience and we have to learn, so that this way our fears are not guiding us.
Yeah. Yeah. Driving the show, right? Like running the show.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to get out of. That I think a lot of us, I mean, I'm sure you as well as myself, I know that, fear has driven my life. Not so much anymore because I've
Learning.
taken a journey, right, into,
Right.
personal growth and dealing with and continue to deal with a lot of the things that we've been talking about,
Yep.
right? That all of those things we've been talking about, when you pull it apart, what's at the root of it? Fear, right? Fear is rampant in all of these things, you know?
It's
Like
the
if you don't like yourself, right? There's a lot of fear in that. You don't have a high amount of self-confidence, self-esteem, right? The, the fear that causes is just it's huge, and it will run through things and run through your life when you're not even conscious of it.
Yeah, and it happens in all areas of our lives. So a, a personal experience would be, you want everyone to be happy in a situation. So you're trying to accommodate everybody, and yet they they don't think you are, because they see it in another venue or another view. And so who gets hurt? You do, because you thought you were working hard at trying to make everybody happy. But who was not happy? And that ends up being you.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
Then there's business. Okay. So I'm working with a girl who is an incredible teacher. She's an incredible speaker. And in her business, she knows so much information on it. And she is so good. She's got her website and she's working all this stuff out. But every time she's done a class and she goes to show them a tool or tools to use, she all of a sudden wants them to like her before she gives them the tool and she says, this is what's going to help you, because she knows it's going to cost them money. So instead of helping them, she just runs away and she never makes a sale. Or once in a while she does, and she gets on a 1 or 2 sales, and we're not talking a lot of money here. And 1 and 2 sales, and she goes, oh, this is too good. Now I'm afraid to do more, because there might be people that I don't feel good. They don't feel good about me because they think I'm selling them something that's not good. But it's not. It's what she is offering is something that can help them in business. So it's just that mindset of, where are you going with what you're feeling and what you've been taught. So we have to work on her on different ways to understand, number one, what's currency, what do you believe about currency, and does currency, how did it start, what did it work, is it something that made good stuff, which it does. Currency, everyone has to have currency, and currency isn't just money. Currency is also time, energy, and so you gotta understand that yourself in business. So it's not, it's just like coaching. So many people have coaches, and why do they have coaches? Well, it costs money to have a coach, because they're giving you their expertise, their time, their licensing, their credentials, and they need to charge for that. And it's not a matter of they're charging you something that you if you can't afford them, well, you can find another coach. It just depends on. So if that coach was like going, oh, well, I would like to help you, but it's going to cost X amount of dollars, and I don't think you can do that. First of all, don't tell me I can't afford it, because how do you know? I don't care what I say to you, because someone could be saying, oh, I can't afford my payment. I can't afford my feed my kids and stuff. And yet they go out and spend money on something that they really didn't need to, but they felt that was more important.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't realize the contradictions in their behavior, right?
Nope.
That they say they can't afford this, they can't afford that, which I think in their hearts they know will help them and help out their business. But they're, for whatever reason, like if you don't really like yourself and you don't believe in yourself, you've got that fear of doing these things that are going to help you and to move you forward. There's
And
huge fear there.
And I think that's the fear is actually when you're not sure of yourself, then you think no one else can believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key. Excuse me, all of a sudden my glasses are dirty.
Yeah. You know, an interesting, a friend and associate of mine, she's a mentor of mine too, Amanda Slade of Co-Create Your Success. She's
Right.
got an acronym for fear, like fear as an acronym.
Yes.
False evidence appearing real.
Yes.
Right? And that's not always the case, right? Like there's certain instances when, fear is because of something tangible. That's something, there's a threat or something's going on. But a lot of times you don't, it's you're fearing something that you don't even know exists, or your mind is telling you it exists, but you have no proof that it actually does.
Yeah.
And it's something that you've made up in your head. You've created a story around, like your friend there, that they're not going to like me if I try and sell them, and I'm going to go there. But is that true? Is that really true? So she has fear around that when she doesn't even, probably that's not even true.
No,
right?
it's not true. It's not true. But your bird is chirping, so I think he wants me to tell you I have a few other acronyms for fear.
Yes.
So
chirp right up there, my dear.
I have one that says forget everything and run, and that's what fear does to you. The other one is face everything and rise. So there's a negative and a positive to a fear. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then the other one on a positive note would be feeling an excited adrenaline rush.
Aha. Yeah. Because,
So,
do you agree with me, my friend, that, fear is something in your experience, and I'm talking purely from my experience, that fear is something that we don't necessarily eliminate. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, let's eliminate the fear around that, like your friend, oh, let's just completely eliminate that fear. But you mitigate it, you lessen it, you
recognize
work with it. Yeah, and make it so it's manageable, right?
And find out why.
Yes, absolutely. Take the journey.
That's why I said why.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Well, excuse me, that's an inside joke, but I named this topic why, but we really were talking about fear, and I couldn't understand why.
Why you named it why. Yeah.
Well, now I know. You have to find out the why behind the fear.
And again, this stuff takes like some courage to do, and like it's scary to actually like look into what's behind a
Yes,
fear that you might have, or a situation that you have, a belief that you have, right? It
exactly.
takes courage to do that, but oh my goodness, it's so, so worth the effort if you can manage. Again, fear is stopping you from, actually looking in and seeing, opening it up a little bit, and
Yeah.
let's see what's under there, and you don't have to worry. It's going to be okay, and it always is, right? But
Yeah.
again, you think it's not going to be okay.
No, and at the moment that it's very difficult to see beyond the fear.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying every day to realize that when there is some kind of fear, that if I acknowledge it and then do two things, I either acknowledge it and say that is not in alignment with me, and I say, thank you for letting me recognize you so that I may put you to rest or let it go. However you want to say, or you can say, okay, I, I've had this fear before. Thank you for coming back in my life so that I can finally put you to rest. Finally understand why I have this fear so that this way I never have that fear again. That doesn't mean you're not going to have another fear. The minute
Right.
you get rid of that fear,
Yeah. And if it does come up, it'll come up on
it'll come up
such a
fast
lower scale,
and
right?
you'll recognize it
Yeah.
faster and you'll get rid of it faster, because then I always say, that's not like me. When I do something that's out of character or what I don't like, if somebody did to me, I go, that's not like me. That is not me.
And not the person that you want to be, right? Like,
Right.
not at all.
No,
Not at all the person that you want to be.
no. And I've had many of those. So I
Haven't we all? Haven't we all?
lived a life of experiences, and
Yeah.
that's how I look at them. They're all experiences that God put in front of us to recognize different things, to prevent other things, or to stop you from doing something that maybe isn't good for you. And fear has its place. Your ego has its place. It's to protect you, okay? Not to make you afraid.
No.
So
That's
there's a
right.
difference in fears. There's the fear of the unknown, and then there's the fear that if you can not do this, it will not happen. But most fears are false evidence appearing real, because
Yeah.
what it is you're making up the story because of
Yes.
what you've heard or what you've seen in someone else's life that is not you.
Right.
And so that fear you have no control over. And one of my largest fear was always not of dying, because you have no control over once you die. I mean, however you're going to die. I mean, I know this is a big subject, but for me, it was horrifying. I used to fall apart, and it's about the fear of after I die, what goes on. And even though my beliefs are promising, let's put it this way, so I don't get into religion or anything, I have this unknown eternity fear. What does that mean? And it actually filled my heart with fear, and it would come and go at certain different times out of the clear blue. And I've learned that, you know what, I guess I'll experience it when it happens, because I can't do anything about it. There is no reason for me to fear something I have no control over, other than being true to myself in this world.
And by being so, being true to yourself, living the life that you meant to live, being the person that you want to be, and feeling, that you're the best of service to others, that has got to really cut down on the fear of what's going to happen in the right. What's
Absolutely.
going to happen in the afterlife? The fear of the unknown gets so much less when you
Yeah.
have this confidence, when you build it, right?
Right. And you know what? It's actually a great feeling to not fear about something when you've tackled a fear that you had that you have no control over. That's either about someone else or something else that you literally have no control, like my fear was. And you come to grips with, if I am in alignment with who I am and what I believe God has put me here on earth to be, do, and have, and I'm true, and I'll go back to our title of Your Heart of Love, and I'm true to my own heart of love, and I emanate love and light to others besides myself, what do I have to fear?
Exactly. Exactly. And it worked, obviously in your case,
Yeah,
by attaining that belief. See, you also replaced an old belief with a
right.
new belief,
Exactly.
right? Because a lot of our fears are based on beliefs that we have
Someone else
about
told us.
things.
Yep,
Someone else told us, or, stuff that's happened to us that
yep,
we judged and we decided that this happened and this is the consequence, or this is what I'm going to believe as a result of what I went through.
correct.
Right? I mean, that's where these beliefs, and for some reason you had that belief.
Yep,
But as you progressed, as you evolved, that it's dissipated, right? Like the energy is of the fear has gone out of it, and fear has been replaced by love, because
correct.
love and fear are opposites, like
They are.
from right from an energetic
It's
standpoint,
actually the same energetic level, love,
right,
fear. They're the same energy.
right.
So that's why when you replace fear with love, you don't necessarily even feel the difference other than you notice
Hmm. Hmm.
the difference.
Because everything has an opposite. We live in a world, of duality, that everything has an opposite. It just does. And fear and love, I mean, love and hate as well, obviously. But
Obviously.
what's hate? Hate mainly at its root is fear. So, hate, fear, love on the other side, right? And so in your case, you replaced the fear with the love, and you changed that belief that you had,
Yep.
and I know in my own experience too of fears. Fear used to really run my life years and years ago when I was younger. Fear really did, and the more I look back on it, the more I realize how much it did. Like, not all the time, but it did to a large degree, right? I did things out of fear a
Of
lot of
course.
times. and,
Most of
and
the
I'm
time we do.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But
And
but when you deal with things with yourself, when you get to know yourself, and you dare to take a journey of, personal growth, and looking at things like we've been talking about yourself.
yeah,
Let me talk about, self-esteem. I did not have a very high self-esteem, and I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself and my own abilities. So that obviously created a lot of fear in my
yep,
life. I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't manage my money, I couldn't make a lot of money, I couldn't hold money. I remember being in a a spiritual group years ago of women that, one time in one session, we all, like, there was 4 or 5 of us that piped up and talked. We were talking about fear and what we feared, and all of us feared that, at some point in our lives when we're older, we were all going to be bag ladies.
Oh
You know,
my God.
yeah, like that lack of money, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I can't, there's nothing I can do about this. This is what I'm going to slip into. And the fear surrounding lack and having that lack consciousness, that creates so much fear when you're thinking lackful thoughts. And even what just popped into my mind is the lack of time, like that's fear, right? Like I don't have enough time. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. What's running that is fear, right? So when you work on that, when you raise your consciousness to one of more abundance, and prosperity and that type of thing, the antithesis of abundance, that's talking about there's always an opposite,
Yep.
right? That when you do that work, you work on those beliefs, you work on that thinking, and you change it, the fear dissipates.
Yeah.
It no longer has a hold on you anymore.
No.
And not saying it's gone completely,
No.
but it's so much less. And like you said, you feel it when it comes up and you deal with it. It's
That's
not like it, you know, I used to have such overpowering fear in the past at times about money and lack of money and not being able to pay this, pay that, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and, just that whole syndrome of, not enoughness. There wasn't enough. I didn't have enough resources. And I didn't feel like I had the ability to change that because I didn't have a lot of self confidence.
right.
But when you work on it, when you believe that there is a way out, and that when you believe that it's your beliefs and it's your thinking that has created this mess that you're in, and you start to change those things,
Yep.
it's almost miraculous.
Yes. It
It
is.
really is what you can do. Like your mind, you can change your mind, you can change your beliefs. Sure, it takes work, it takes persistence, it takes dedication, it takes, what it takes. It takes time, it takes diligence, but it is entirely possible.
Absolutely.
Entirely possible, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's funny because, so many times there'll be a day that, we want to accomplish so much. And then we go, well, I don't know if I'm going to get it all done. And it's funny when you just do one thing at a time. At the end of the day, you go, oh my gosh, I got it all done.
Like one foot in front of the other instead of, again, the fear of, oh my God, it's so much, I'll never get through it.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you have more time than you expected.
You know what, Betty Ann? Don't you think we have plenty of time? We have plenty of time. We all have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 in a year. We have lots and lots of time. And it's a belief that needs to be changed that we don't have enough time. Because if you think you don't have enough time,
You don't.
you don't have enough time.
Mhm.
Because like we've talked about, your thoughts create your reality, right? What you believe, what you most predominantly think about and what you believe is going to, create the outer world that you have.
Yeah.
And so if you don't think you got enough time, you ain't going to have enough time. If you don't have enough money,
Well, you won't have any money because you'll be doing things that you should not be doing.
That's right, exactly. Those are the things that come into your life, the circumstances and, the people, the situations and things. They are lackful because you think in a lackful way,
Right.
right? But when you change that, when you start to change that, different things start appearing, right?
Well, I think that's when, they say magic or miracles happen is when people switch from fear to belief that the positive will happen. The opposite will happen of their fear. That's a challenge you need to put to yourself. We all have to believe in ourselves. And in order to believe in ourselves, we have to get rid of fear that we're no good, that we can't, all those things that you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone wants a miracle. Well, we have miracles happen all the time. And all we have to do is believe that there are miracles when we eliminate the fear of no miracle.
Yeah, even that's a belief, right?
Yeah.
You believe, oh well, there's no such thing as miracles. Somebody told you that, or a group of people told you that when you were little, and you took on that belief that, and of course you don't experience them because that's what you're thinking. That's what you're
Correct.
believing. So they
Or
don't show up.
you probably are experiencing miracles or magic,
Or yeah,
yet
you
you're
don't see it.
not recognizing it because you're blocked your view with the negative or the fear or whatever it is that you think
Yeah.
you believe is happening to you.
And you see it happening maybe in other people. Well, how come that's happening, with so and so and so and so, and it's not happening in my life, and all that sort of stuff. Well, it can,
Okay.
but you got to change the way you look at it. When you change the way you look at things change.
You change your actions, so your beliefs your thoughts create beliefs,
That's right.
create your emotions that create your actions. And so you need to figure out, okay, what's the first thing I got to do? Well, you got to think. And that's where I am statements come in. That's where a lot of different positive affirmations, feeding yourself, and so that you can feed others. We need to fill ourselves with love and gratitude and thanks, praise, and believe that we are that, so that we can offer that to others, because that's what we're here for in this earth. That's one of our human rights as a human being here on earth that God has given us. And we can choose not to use it.
Absolutely. We've been given free will.
But if you don't want the fears, then you need to learn not to have the fear and just go.
That's it.
You know what?
Absolutely.
It's so funny because so many times, there's so many parables and so many stories about, oh, I'm driving down the street and I get this traffic was really bad and I get stopped and I'm running late for an appointment and you're freaking out and it's a really, really important appointment that you have to be at and you can't get through, you can't get on the phone and all this other stuff. And then finally it opens up and you drive past what was blocking you and you see a horrific accident and you sit there and you go, I was not meant to leave earlier because I might have been in that accident.
Absolutely.
And that's why you need to realize that these things, those are miracles. That is a miracle for you to get stuck in that traffic. So now I go, because I like going fast. And I like getting to where I want to go when I want to get there. Sometimes I do run late.
Of course.
But I sit there and I go, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Because how many times have I gotten someplace on time and the other person was late?
That too. Absolutely.
And I sit there and I go, it's okay. It's okay. Because they weren't supposed to get there on time either. So, you realize that none of this stuff really matters. And if it did, by the time you got to that point, there's another reason why you were not supposed to make that appointment.
Yeah,
Maybe,
absolutely. And you may never know what it is, but
you never know.
you trust that it was the right timing of things,
Yeah.
right? You
How many
trust
times do people say, "Oh, I could have gotten that job," and da 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 da, but then they get a better job, they get a better offer, or they ended up something else happens that was better and bigger than they ever even anticipated. Why? Because they had a miracle happen to them, and maybe they didn't recognize it at first
that's right.
until other things came in its place.
And then
And
they realized, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's happened so many times, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, actually. We call it synchronicity when that happens, when people come into your life, not even, or you're thinking of somebody, and all of a sudden they call, they text, you see them, you know, and you go, "Oh my gosh, how did that happen?" It's
Yeah.
been so long, or you're thinking you wish something would go on, and then you let it go and you go, "Okay, whatever, it might not happen." And then you go on your life and do all these other things, and all of a sudden, wow, it showed up, you know and and even if something doesn't, or if it ends up being something that we interpret that wasn't good, there's a reason. And I think that's what we need to understand. There's always a reason for everything, even when we don't understand it or we don't like it. Because
Yeah, that's for sure, right? Absolutely for sure. And I think it's helpful too to like just to think back on our lives and how many times things like that have happened and to use those experiences because I know everybody. It's
everybody,
happened to everybody, but you're just not, it's not, you're not aware of it. It's not in your forefront of your mind. But if you bring these things to the forefront of your mind, you'll realize that there were so many times, there was so much evidence of that.
yep,
Right. And like I was saying about my self-esteem and that I was never good enough, I didn't do things right or good enough or whatever. One of the exercises early that I went through was thinking about and listing all the things that I actually had accomplished and had done and things that went right. And, sure, there were things and you're going to have that, right? You're not going to be like perfect all the time, right all the time, do it right all the time.
no,
But
no.
so many times we're so successful and we just, like we don't acknowledge it. We don't. So
So
I went through the process of proving to myself because I had to, because my belief was that I was not good enough. So I actually had to prove to my conscious mind, which then seeped into my subconscious to create a new belief that, hey, I actually did a lot of stuff really well, and this, that, and the other thing, and look at these, and keep a list
yep,
to like for a while look at every night or every morning and go through and add to, right? So that you feed your mind evidence of what is really true and not this
absolutely
false evidence that appears real that we're no good or we're not successful and all this sort of stuff, right?
correct. And you know it I someone told me the other day, and we were talking to someone else, and they said, "I want you every morning and every night, just say, 'I am blessed beyond measure.'"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Say
mm-hmm.
it in the morning and say it at night. If you just said that, eventually you will believe that you
Absolutely.
are blessed beyond measure. So you
Right.
don't need to measure yourself with others. You don't need to measure yourself with yourself. you are so blessed beyond measure that you don't have to measure. And that also goes with, all our other negative thoughts on how we judge ourselves and stuff. So, well,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time, and we've been in here 40 minutes, and don't want to keep your time too long, but I do want to make sure we say, please like and subscribe. And we hope to see some questions, maybe topics you'd like us to hear, talk about. And when we do eventually feel comfortable to go live, we will. And if not, we will answer you as best as we can and as soon as.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to hear from you for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And,
I
you
hope
know,
you enjoyed it.
what's coming up for you, what successes you've had, what journeys you've had, because the more we talk about this stuff and, the more we raise the energy in ourselves on a micro level, we affect the macro, we affect the outer world, we affect, the world around us, the people around us. So we want
Absolutely.
to continue talking like this. So let us know what you want to talk about.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Linda. Thank you, everyone. And I guess we'll see you on the next call.
See you soon. Yeah.
Ciao.